Let's let eh, 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 it's freaking Gizzo, baby. You guys are not on my level. I feel the energy in this chat tonight. I'm looking at you wherever you may be watching. Hope you hit the like, subscribe, all the good stuff. This is the absolute funnest, best LSU football community on the freaking planet. I am on cloud nine. I just called a college basketball game, and it was pretty freaking intense. I felt like I was in Cameron Indoor Stadium, but now I am all locked in. So I appreciate you guys holding off. Always good to make a few extra bucks before the big wedding coming up for me. And yes, I want to talk LSU football. I don't care. Like a few nights ago, we went until like midnight. I don't care if we go until 3 in the morning because OMAR SPEIGHTS committed to LSU. He is signed with LSU, the Oregon State linebacker. As you guys saw, my patrons already know. I've already done a brief little film study. You can go to patreon.com/LSU football to get all of it. And he graded out pretty highly for me. There were some uh, efforts that I saw that could have been a little bit better. But outside of that, this guy for 4 consecutive years put up pretty big numbers. And bottom line is beggars can't be choosers. I understand that there's going to be a lot of, well, what he did was only in the Pac-12. I don't give a rip right now. If you get 80 plus tackles in any Power 5 conference, you've got to be some kind of good football player. And Blake and I talked about him last night. Solo tackles are up for him, and he brings in a lot of leadership. He was the captain. He wore a single-digit number. He is an overall playmaker. Is he the fleetest of foot? No, but he is good in pass coverage, and overall, he is a solid backer, and we needed one in the absolute worst way. And honestly, I'm thinking about moving Denver Harris off my number one transfer for this guy because he does fill an absolutely huge need for us. Now, Denver Harris probably plays a more premium position, but we really, really, really needed it back in the absolute worst way. And you could survive with less than stellar off-ball linebacker play, but right now we just didn't have enough, right? We had some good guys coming in, obviously with Weeks and Brathwaite. We also have Wes Weeks and, of course, Greg Pinn, along with Harold Perkins. But now Harold Perkins won't have to play a position that he probably isn't fully comfortable playing. We allow him to stay where he needs to be, which is the position I like to call the perk, which is wherever Matt House wants him to be. So we say hi to TJ. We say hi to Joshua. Let's go, Steve. Good to see you. Joshua, what's up? Tyler, I am James. Let's talk some NIL value. We'll get into that a little bit later. Johnny 5. Yeah, when we move it back a little bit, Johnny 5 is able to join us. Good to see you, man. What's up, Jared? Our first commenter of the evening. I really appreciate it. Max wants to talk Jaden Rashada. I had a long conversation today, actually, about Jaden Rashada. And also, we will talk about Walker Howard tonight, okay? So what's up, Sawyer? Good to see you. And yes, so a few more things. Showing if you and I got to have a conversation tomorrow, please hit me up. A few more things here. So just for reference, over the next week, things are about to get pretty spicy for me. I have a pretty huge opportunity that was given to me for next Wednesday. I can't share the details of what exactly is happening, but it's a pretty big thing for the channel. You'll soon learn what that is. But on Tuesday, I will be in Baton Rouge. So we are going to try to figure out something for us to all get together. I know I've messaged quite a few of you, so I can have the opportunity to meet some of you guys. It's a weird thing, right? I don't get to meet a lot of you, but I talk to you all the time. And I want that. Like a few weeks ago in Bossier City, for those that were there, you saw how much fun that was. PHL Nation hanging out with Lance Hurd and Trey Holly. It was a lot of fun. And I was very blessed to get to do that. I might stop in Pineville to say hi to Doug Nose. So obviously, Omar being a big time signee, got a pretty good message yesterday that he was going to sign, as you guys saw on the Power Hour LSU Twitter account. And I'm very excited that he is a part of this. So we start off with something positive. But where I want to start, and once again, if you super chat, we'll go straight to your topic, whatever you want to talk about. Go right on ahead and talk to me. And believe it or not, we are giving out Joe Burrow cards tonight. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Here's a Joey B right here, and yeah, pretty excited about that. Now, the one thing I do want to start off with is, we already started with OMAR, but I want to talk about the Walker Howard story one final time. So obviously Spencer Sanders signed with Walker Howard. Now, I won't get into what Lane Kiffin's thinking process is here, but if you go to Power Hour SEC, I dropped a 10-minute film study on Jackson Dart and the real reason why Lane Kiffin decided to move on from Jackson Dart, even though he's still going to be on the team next year, more than likely. So if you go to Power Hour SEC, I will share, you'll get to see film wise why Lane did what he did, and it's honestly quite genius. But as far as Walker Howard is concerned, I do give him credit for one thing, right? So, one player I think a lot about is Odell Beckham Jr., right? I think about his NFL career more than his college career. And it's all gonna make sense. Just hang with me just for a second. So Odell makes this move to Cleveland, right? And a big reason why he went to Cleveland is to play with Jarvis Landry, his lifelong friend. Well, this is always a good mantra to live by, and it's gonna come off as selfish. It's gonna come off as so Michael wants the Joey B card. Talk more about our defensive roster, please. We'll get straight to it. So, Michael, okay, I guess it's yours. There you go. Um, I got another one right here. Yeah, this one. Pro Joe Burrow uniform card. Um, what 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 I want to start off with though is I'm going to break down what I think the two deep is going to look like in the spring. What's very interesting is when Odell joined the Browns, he quit on the Browns. And he quit on his teammate Jarvis Landry, right? Remember that? There was a video shot by Odell's dad. Baker Mayfield missed an Odell, and Odell just quit on him and went somewhere else. And a big reason why he went to Cleveland, which wasn't the best fit for him because Baker is not a great quarterback, is because of his friend, right? And eventually, he left his friend in the middle of the season, and the Browns were a 500 team. They were still in playoff contention. He still quit them. What Walker Howard proved today, right, or over the past 48 hours is something that not a lot of people want to talk about in the world of football. Is yes, everyone that plays is a part of a brotherhood, but the truth is the best course of action for you at all times is doing what you feel is best. So Walker Howard left one of his best friends, Will Campbell, and he could have gone to TCU and joined one of his other best friends, Jack Bash, but instead he picked Ole Miss, which I actually commend him for, right? Because it is a more competitive room, but he felt that that move was the best for him. And this is just a good mantra to live by for the rest of your life. Do what's best for you and your family, right? Your job, I guarantee you, probably doesn't care as much about you as you probably think you do. Um, do what you feel is best for you. And I know that comes off as selfish, but what the transfer portal and the name, image, and likeness has taught us is go look at Walker Howard's Ole Miss Instagram post. Every single LSU player on the roster commented best of luck or a heart emoji or something like that. You could still be friends with somebody and still do what's best for you. And I find that to be so interesting because, going into this entire ordeal, we thought a gazillion percent that Walker was going to follow Jack Besh. And even before Walker played, we thought that Walker and Jack Besh were going to set LSU records. I thought that. I think a lot of you thought that. Him and Malik were just going to light it up, the Lafayette connection. But it didn't happen. And what this has taught me is, friendship is one thing, but you got to do what's best for you. And look, it worked out better for Odell in the long run when he did what was best for him. And it's a very interesting dynamic. Okay. So we're going to talk about the defensive roster. Let me get that Joey B card. Let's talk more about our defensive roster, please. So right now, LSU's defense is looking pretty solid. Do I think this unit has a special level that they can reach next year, right? I think that they do. I think, you would need a few players to take their next step. Obviously, a big, big, big thing for me, Buster, is going to be is Mason Smith going to get back to the level he played at as a true freshman? And he was dominant right off the jump versus UCLA. Mason's one of the hardest working guys on the team, well evidenced by him changing his body before he ever even got to LSU. And you know how much it's killed him to actually sit out this entire season. The one thing I really like about Mason is his leadership. We saw before the bowl game teaching Quincy Wiggins some technique stuff, and that goes to show you how much he really loves, being with the team, right? And I really do think Mason's going to have a big year alongside Makai Wingo. What's going to be interesting, Buster, is how do they fit the pieces together, right? We know for sure Mason and Wingo are going to start next year. How does everything else work itself out? Does Jefferson, the transfer from West Virginia, jump up? The bottom line is whether or not you think he's going to jump someone on this roster, he's going to get a chance to play a lot. And the second thing that I want to point out about the defense is obviously, what about Davian Jones? Does he actually take another step? Does he actually become the full time starter? Obviously, his Arkansas game was really special. That was by far his best performance, even with the worst quarterback situation just on tape that it really popped for me. I don't know how a lot of you felt about that game. He was really good. Um, so it starts there, and then after that, obviously, Penn and Spade. So it's going to take a lot for Omar and Greg to not be the starters, and Wes Weeks is going to be mixed in there as well. So yes, and then the secondary, which to me is the most important position in the modern day. I know Max and I have gone back and forth on that, whether it's a secondary or the defensive line. Um, we know Greg Brooks is going to start. We know Major Burns is going to be mixed in there as well. I still believe in Denver Harris. I do. I think he's going to be a really good player for us. And we'll see what Zy Alexander, J.K. Johnson, Chestnut, and those guys are going to do. And then, of course, LaTerrence Welsh, who Doug Nose pointed out during the last live stream. How special is LaTerrence Welsh going to be? Obviously, a Lafayette kid who had a lot of injuries in high school. The first big step for him this past year was not getting hurt and being available. And I think that's going to help him get up to speed, making him feel confident in his body and his shape, and him, because you can ask players when you get hurt, the way that he got hurt, it could be in the back of your mind for some time. The fact that he was 10 toes down the entire season was a very good thing, even though he didn't really play a whole lot. That was good for him. Let's go to Steve Super Chat. I really appreciate it. I would love 1,000 of these $20 Super Chats. I freaking love it. Besh Booty leaves. Walker doesn't come. OC leaves to Clemson. Walker leaves BR to go to Ole Miss, and he's in the same position there. Yeah, look, I think one thing, just what I want you to do, right? And look, I know some of you are ready to move on from the Walker Howard thing. Steve did super chat, and it does, affect our current quarterback room. This was pretty seismic, a top 50 quarterback recruit from our own state. We were very excited about that. The first top 50 quarterback recruit since Ryan Perlew. We were pretty excited about this. Let me say this about Walker. I do think the situation at Ole Miss is very similar, but I also think it's very different. I think the one thing that this transfer showed me is Walker Howard fears Garrett Nussmeier, and he fears that Nuss is so far ahead of him that he can't beat him out. And that's why he left. There's nothing wrong with that. It's smart. Go somewhere where you think you have the better opportunity to play. I know going to Ole Miss wasn't the best course of action if you want to play next year, but for me, I do believe Walker Howard could have, gone somewhere else where he would have been a better position to actually play right away. So I think for me, Steve, I can't say I wish Walker the best because he's one of our rivals now. I hope personally he is happy with whatever outcome comes of him being in Oxford. So, I honestly, I really do mean this. I think you should have waited it out. Look, even from m even if you strip everything away, you just subjectively look at where we are right now, I think he should have waited it out. I really do. But what this told me is that he didn't believe in himself to beat out Garrett Nussmeier, and that's basically it. Now, does that show competition? Does that show, uh, a lack of, confidence in oneself? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But, for me, I still think Walker's gonna be a really good player, I do. The Ole Miss move was very perplexing, and we'll see where he goes from there. I appreciate both of you, and I appreciate Max, one of my good friends. 49ers front seven, DBs crap. Enough said. LOL. Ah, that's true. The 49ers front is nasty. Obviously, Nick Bosa this past weekend in Dallas, I actually gave out my Nick Bosa cards. I love watching him play. I really do. I mean, he plays with so much power and so much speed. Um, he's incredible, and all those guys up front for San Francisco is great. What's very interesting is, we're talking about off-ball linebackers. When you look at the 49ers, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are such good players. I really love watching them play, and it helps. D'Amico Ryans is their coach, and D'Amico, I know he's a Crimson Tide guy, but he was a great player. I mean, D'Amico Ryans is kind of underrated in the hierarchy of SC linebackers. Um, I think D'Amico is going to be a head coach somewhere next year. He's really special. So, yeah, I appreciate the super chats. Good stuff. We'll talk some NFL a little bit later. Um, Everybody, welcome TKS. We go from a 49er super chat to a question from a first timer. Is the weakest part of the D still linebacker? Everybody, welcome TKS to the channel. TK, I hope you hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. Come by all our live streams, baby, because we bring the energy. We're at 110% about LSU football all day, every day, 24/7, 366. Let's freaking go. It's the weakest part of the D still linebacker. I would say so. Um, but I think TK is the biggest thing. It's going to be, what does Matt House and what does Harold Perkins want to do with their careers, right? Like, obviously, Matt House is locked in at LSU, but a big part of his future success is going to be how he wants to use Harold Perkins. It is kind of a weird thing because we do have a gaping hole at the Jack linebacker position. Obviously, BJ was very good for us there. And look, we had two Jacks transfer out, and they had clear paths to playing time. Xavier Carter and uh, Little, and I don't know why they transferred unless they didn't believe that they could play at an SEC level, but they had a clear path to actually win this job, and they still left. So maybe Perk has to be the full-time Jack. I know they bring in Braden Swinson from Oregon. I think his tape is fine. I do. I think he's a fine player, but I still think, it's going to be hard for us to find someone special to play the Jack, right? Is it Jackson Howard? Is it uh Womack, right? Womack's a very good player, but, I know some people think of him more as, a hand in the dirt deep end. I know some people view him as a standing 2-point, jack. That's gonna be a very interesting, dilemma there, and look, if Deshaun Womack is anywhere close to an RDT or someone like that, yeah, takes the next level, and he is a 5-star. So we'll see what happens there. So it's a good question if the linebacker is still the weakest part of the defense. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Spates. I know that there is a transfer portal backer out of Georgia that a lot of you are interested in. Looked like he is going to Alabama. Kennedy, a linebacker out of Alabama, is still in the portal. Is that somebody you would want to go venture off and go get? I don't know. I do think LSU would be smart to get another off-ball linebacker, just to make sure, because Seats obviously has a lot of snaps under his belt. And you need to have depth there. So yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Um, but yeah, like TK asking some locals right there. Forbes changes photo again. I still love this. I laugh every time when I see it. It's good to see him, man. 12 portal players, 11 defense, 1 offense. How many more players do we get after the spring? One thing that I mean, I think one interesting spring development is going to be Aaron Anderson. We haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about Aaron Anderson. I really liked him coming out of high school. I didn't I wasn't in love with him as much as everyone else. I had a few um, I'd have to go back and look at my actual grades on this, but I actually had only one receiver clearly ahead of him, and that's Xavier Thomas at Mississippi State. Um, yeah, we haven't seen a healthy Aaron Anderson play just yet, right? And we'll see. I think he is going to be very key for LSU moving forward, not only as a returner, but potentially as a wide receiver. And if he does play well and he is healthy and he's ready to go, we're going to get ourselves a big time football player here. So I am really, really freaking excited about AA coming over. So yeah, it's good. Um, that's a good point. No positional room with Harold Perkins in it is the worst. And that's true. Huh? Huh? He is by far, the best player on the D. So, yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, I think, you can make a case corner because you don't really have anybody proven, other than Chestnut, who's played a lot of football. There's no one really proven for like a full year just yet. Zion Alexander at the FCS level, but still, we'll see. I just love this name because I'm Creole as well, H-Town Creole. Omar Spates is that dude. I think the best portal signing will be Darian Deuce Chestnut. I like that, man. I am I love that name because I know he's an Ole Miss guy, but I'm a huge Deuce McAllister fan. I freaking love Deuce McAllister. It's like the next big card I want to buy is something very rare, Deuce McAllister. I love him. I'm glad he's still a part of the Saints. It is amazing how many like Ole Miss grads became big Saints fans. I remember getting stopped in Oxford a gazillion times because I wore like a Saint jacket. It's like this retro jacket I bought. Um, and I was wearing an LSU hat, and so many people would stop me be like, "Hey, I hate your hat, but can I buy your jacket off of you?" It was like this. I'll go pull it out in just a second. Pause. But I'll go get the jacket in just a second to show you. And you'll see what makes it pop. I got it the night. If you guys remember this game, type Y for yes, type in for no if you remember this game. Okay, we'll talk a little Saints later. Do you remember when Drew Brees went for 18 for 23, 366 yards, 5 touchdowns to 5 different players and no interceptions versus Tom Brady and Randy Moss Monday Night Football in the Dome? I'm telling you, that is up there with like some national championship games for me. I swear, because I never thought I would get to see Brady in the flesh. I never thought I would see Randy in the flesh. I mean, they're arguably the two best, players at their position of all time. That night, type Y for yes, type in for no if you remember that game. That game was so freaking insane. And that was like the peak of Drew Brees, right? That was peak Brees. And God bless. And oh man, I just I get those chills, man. I get those chills. I really, really, really do. Um, it's still crazy. Brady is still playing now. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't want to turn this into a Saints chat. I'll talk some Saints a little bit later because they did something really stupid today. I don't want to get into it. It got me a little angry. As you guys know, I'm not like I am a Saints fan, but it's not, it's LSU, Pelicans, Liverpool. And sometimes Liverpool over Pelicans. I go back and forth. So there you go. But man, that's up there. I mean, I know like how can you compare that to a national championship game? I mean, if you really think about the circumstances of that game when Drew and the whole thing started going, you felt like the decade of dominance or a decade of truly transcendent quarterback play was following that because I'll never forget that. I just will never ever ever forget that game. Um, God bless, it was so great. Um, yeah, Steve, it's a good question. The Blake and I have talked about this as well. Uh, yeah, we actually put on the Mason actually played like some good defensive end for LSU in that Florida game a few years ago, but it was defensive end um in a 4-3 alignment, which is a little bit different. You're always on the outside shoulder of the offensive tackle in that alignment. If you're thinking about the defensive end, like the Ali Gay position, it's a tricky position. It's not truly a playmaking position. Like you've got a lot of responsibilities there, and it's going to be interesting how they actually want to use, Mason Smith next year. I have always said this. I think Jaquelin Roy and Mason Smith are going to be better pros than college players because and they're still obviously I think Mason is still going to be a big time college player, but I think Jaquelin Roy is going to be a big time pro because they are playmakers, right? In the NFL, they want defensive linemen that can penetrate and get pressure on the quarterback. Where in the college game, there's all these mobile quarterbacks and all these different, you know, traps and stuff that they run that sometimes your first responsibility is to play your gap, right? Um, but yeah, it's where they feel Mason is best used. And honestly, I don't think Mason knows where he feels he is the best. The one thing we do know is that he can objectively play all the positions on the defensive line outside of the standing jack, which is pretty impressive for a 320-pound dude. So, yeah, I think Mason can play anywhere. You could play him in the zero, you could play him in the shade, play him in the 4-eye. You could do a lot of different things with him, man. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I see one of our new viewers here, Leon the Visual, bring up a question about Quincy Wiggins. Dang, Buster, you're getting a lot out of your super chat, man, about your defensive question. Quincy obviously got all the tools, right, to be a big time defensive lineman. It's just everything else has to come with it. You know what's very interesting to me? Wiggins was really good for LSU in the bowl game on special teams. If you go look at the opening kickoff, there was you can't do wedges anymore. Even if you can't do wedges, there's still like big collisions. And he actually got flattened and opened up a huge hole for Noah Kane. It's just all the other blockers missed their block and the gap closed. That showed me a lot. He became the end guy on the field goal team, which is something that Ali Gay did this past year for us. He's gonna have to do that for us next year. That's a huge position, as you saw, cost us the Florida State game. So, the first thing is Quincy does give you a lot of value as a special teamer, and then after that, you'll see what he could possibly do. Playing the 4-eye, playing some other positions as well. So it wouldn't shock me if House changes some things up and plays some different techniques because his personnel is going to be different. And what's going to be very fascinating is if they don't find someone that can truly play the jack, and obviously, Swinson is a guy, the transfer from Oregon, that is most likely to play that position. If they can find someone to play the jack, you're going to see LSU switching things up because the way that they want to run their defense, if you don't have someone that could truly be a dude in that 2-point stance, they're just going to run at you, and you don't want that, right? It'll just be A&M a lot more than just the A&M game. So very, very, very interesting. Um, by far, Denver Hair. It's all I could bring to the cat. I can't wait to see you next week, man. Pretty excited about that. Eric, who accused me of being ageist. Now, for my fellow old people, I can't believe you accused me of being that was the most bizarre comment I've ever heard in my life. I don't even know what it was about, but you called me an ageist, right? Skipper's one of my best friends, and, I talk about how much he knows about Burt Jones and all those guys. That was still the most bizarre thing I have ever heard in my life. I've been called everything. I've been accused of everything. I never thought I'd be called an ageist. I'm an old soul, right? I had gray hair. I call my roommate Thomas right now. I had gray hair when I was 20. 20, I had a ton of gray hair. I'm an old soul. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I watch football all day. That's all I do. Okay. Huh? 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 Uh, Tyler's my age. Ty- Uh, don't put us old, but that's not what I did. I didn't. I have never ever said that. It is still the most bizarre. I'm telling. I didn't even know what you're referencing. Uh, I remember saying something about like it was something about Jamie Howard and how cool it was for older people to see a legacy, come from there. I was complimenting older viewers, but whatever makes you feel better, you go right on ahead. Huh? 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 I'm not. I don't care your age. That's my point. Huh? 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 This is a good question. Oh my god, I love the way this. Man, I don't know, Chance. Honestly, a few years ago, it would be my age, but I've never heard. Okay, this is you have to admit, this is funny right here. The goal is to grow old. Isn't that right? Chandler says, "My waistline being 24 doesn't help." But if you guys think I'm ageist, I'm so sorry. Okay. From now on, to start every live stream, just to make sure we are totally age inclusive here. All right. We are going to start every live stream with Beethoven. Okay. Beethoven, Bach. That's what we're going to do. All right. And then here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pull up the History Channel. We're going to watch documentaries on the dinosaurs, right? I want to make sure we're all inclusive all the way back to when Stegosaurus roamed Louisiana. Okay. This is a Stegosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Brontosaurus inclusive channel. We are everybody. If you're a pterodactyl or velociraptor, you are included into this channel. Okay. That's so funny. What's up, John Sibley? Yeah, but John Sibley, it's different for you because you accomplish a lot of stuff in your career. A crap ton. I can attest. You have accomplished a lot. I'll brag on you. I won't brag on everybody else, but you've accomplished a lot. I know, Eric. I'm just messing with you, man. If you weren't offended, then why did you make the comment at first? I should go pull it up. I should go pull it up. Because if you weren't offended, maybe no one else was offended. Maybe I didn't say anything at all, which is my point. I know H Town Creole. I need this beard right here. I need it. My Creole brethren. I love it. It's all good, man. It's all good. But I will tell you this. What's up? Let's go, Van. Let's go. Let's go. Van, take it back. Van, I'm taking this. I'm taking this donation back to you. First drink is on me here in a few weeks, okay? Even though it's open bar. But the truth is, all right, I cannot have Van getting the super chat wrong. Emory Jones to right guard. God, Van, this is if y'all knew me and Van's relationship, you knew like how like I need this to say RG. YouTube overlords, edit this right now. I know the Alphabet Corporation is listening to me right now. Edit this to say RG, please. All right, let's switch up the poll question here. Let's take a look at the poll question. Eric, it's all good. I'm just messing with you, man. Calm down. Oh, we had a 50-50 on the poll, man. Goodness gracious. We had ace king versus queen here on the poll. That's not quite 50-50, but still, I think ace king to 8-8 is about 50-50. All right, Van, change the poll question for you, man. The age inclusive PHL. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Should Emory Jones move to guard? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Carves agrees with you. Eric, no, I how? We've moved on. He should move to middle linebacker. Huh? 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 That I know what you're referencing. I know that sounds like a troll comment, but his open field tackle versus Mississippi State is still one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Right? For my fellow big men out there, you don't move like Emory Jones does. That was in freaking sane. Okay? In freaking sane. That tackle versus Mississippi State. All right. So, what's really interesting about Emory Jones moving to guard is, you know, that's where he should play. That's where the LSU staff views him because that's where he started playing, during the fall. So, you guys know how I feel about Emory Jones. He got the rare, rare transcendent grade for me. Um, Him and Harold Perkins got it last year. Uh, God, they were so special. They really jumped off the page. And Jones can play SEC right tackle or left tackle. He's good enough. He's talented enough. But I do feel he is better served as a guard, right? If you look really closely at the tape, a lot of the times he got beat was to the inside. When they ran twist to the inside, they did it. Purdue did it to him once. Mississippi State did it to him once. So yeah, I think Emory Jones, man, you know how I feel about him. I do think he's special. I do think, when it's all said and done, he's going to be the best offensive player from this last class. Him and Will, obviously, and he's going to be one of the best LSU offensive linemen to ever play here. I have felt that way ever since I watched him for the first time, and all he did was prove it to you. Right? This is a guy who came in the fall and he was playing a different position and everybody gets hurt. And we have a bunch of other guys that aren't panning out that were top 150 recruits that actually were slated to play tackle. And Emory Jones saved the season. If Emory Jones can't step in and do what he did this year, we are not a good football team. We are at least one win less than what we are, because you can't. We couldn't continue playing with the right tackle play that we had, and he saved us. He honestly saved us this year, and it's very great. But I do think guard is better for him. And in a perfect world, they want they want Emory Jones playing guard and Lansard playing right tackle. That gives them the highest ceiling. And I think the offensive line that would give LSU the absolute highest ceiling with athleticism, recruiting ranking, all of that is at left tackle, Will Campbell, at left guard, Garrett Dellinger, or Miles Frazier. I'm fine with that. At center, DJ Chester, who I think can play center. I do think he's probably more of a guard, but we'll see. And then at right guard, Emory Jones, and at right tackle, Lance Hurd. And that would be an all-time talented offensive line. So what makes it even trickier, and I appreciate this super chat from Aaron. Van is from Baton Rouge, where we wore duck head shirts and Z Cavarici pants. I don't know. I don't know these clothing brands, but I would love to see a photo of Aaron rocking this gear. Huh? 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 Um, so yeah, I think that would be their highest upside offensive line. But I think Tyree Adams, obviously is a St. Aug kid. You know about St. Aug, right? That's an NFL factory. He's athletic enough to play Division I football. Um, so yeah, I mean, don't sleep on him. He could develop into something. I do think it's more of a year two guy, and then obviously, Tyree Adams has enough potential to be the best offensive lineman in this last class. But obviously, most of us think it's going to be Lance. I think, for me, I'm still a Charles Turner believer. I still think he's a very good Division I SEC starting center, but I also think for me, one thing that's it's going to be very key going into next year is what about Marlon Martinez, right? This is a guy that gave you a lot of good snaps, played on short notice, and obviously played better than what we probably thought he was going to play at center this year. Does a dead ball snaps, got a lot of talent. Um, and Yeah, I'll share one fact about Marlon Martinez. It's pretty crazy down the road. But for right now, we're gonna get into the next super chat topic right here. Okay. Ovi Okafor, one of your students at Texas, once again, John Sibley, is a Texas professor, is transferring to LSU from Texas. How will he help the Tigers? It's a very good point right here. Ovi Okafor. Okay. So he is also a jack, and I didn't mention him a minute ago, and I'm glad you super chatted him. Um, he's also a guy that could play the jack. He was a pass rusher at Texas, and before that, he was a pass rusher at Notre Dame for Brian Kelly. He's a good player, right? I don't really see him as one of these elite benders around the edge in that I don't necessarily see him as this some elite pass rusher, but I see him more of like a Jamaria Roscoe kind of guy that's going to give you some good snaps, get a few coverage sacks mixed in there, and he plays really hard. So, I like that. Obviously, he's very experienced. He's coming in to play his final year, and I think he's going to give LSU someone that gives him some positional versatility. The one thing all of these first can um, really does is it raises the ceiling of the defense, right? When you have these experienced adults in the room, it takes what you are going to do as a defense to the very next level. So, very excited about Ovi. Really appreciate the super chat. Really freaking excited about the future of his career. Obviously, it's going to be 1 year, so we'll see what he does. And Braden Switz is going to be really difficult to beat out. And I know Brian Kelly said last year that he didn't want to rely too much on 1 year transfers. Well, the truth is, a lot of our defense is going to be 1 year transfers, right? Especially if you think, Jefferson is going to be something. Parashan might only play a year. Ogafer Swinton might only play a year. Obviously, Chestnut has a lot of experience. If he plays well, he'll probably go to the league. And then Greg Brooks, obviously, he's a second-year player, but we only got one more year of him. It's a very interesting dilemma, and obviously he's coming in with a lot of energy, so really excited about that. Okay. Yep, G, good to see you. 19-0. Shout out Kim Mulkey. Loving me some Mulk. Uh, I love it. I didn't get to watch. Obviously, I was hanging out with you. 19-0. Kim motherfreaking Mulkey. When your coach, weeks before she starts her career, is getting introduced to the Basketball Hall of Fame by Michael Jordan, you're probably pretty good at what you do. I still think that's cool. I would have just retired then on the spot. Like, hey, my life can't get any better than making the Basketball Hall of Fame and getting introduced by Michael Jordan. But obviously, a huge seven-figure contract from Scott Woodward would make me want to continue to work as well. And Kim Mulkey obviously is paying off on that. It's kind of cool, to not only have another LSU sport on the map, but a women's sport along with gymnastics and softball on the map as well. And it's very interesting. Like, I think about like gymnastics, Ashley Claire Kearney, Susan Jackson, um, softball. There's so many great players as well. Uh, and yeah, it's very interesting to see women's basketball back on it. And look, I'll never forget, we're talking about, that Saints Patriots Monday Night Football game. This is going to be random. Who was in the PMAC when Maya freaking Moore visited the PMAC? That was a crazy game. Van Chancellor, Gino freaking Oriyama, legends. I think it was like still, yeah, it was Sylvia Fowles versus Maya Moore. That's insane. That is so freaking insane. Legends, legends. Uh, But yeah, everybody, welcome Burt Boy to the channel. I like that. Stunt on these gardening tools. I like that. Got to be family friendly. But I just love that meme. Stunt on these gardening tools. Everybody, welcome Burt Boy to the channel. Want to make them feel great. Do you think Perkins makes the defense better at edge or inside linebacker? I think they're going to keep him at the Perk position, which is wherever the heck he wants to line up or wherever Matt House wants to put him. And that's where you want him to be. You don't want him to be, the inside linebacker. You want him to be out in space. You want him to be on the edge so he can be playmaker. So there you go. LSU Capital, the Capital One Cup. Let's go. Let's go. I like that. I didn't think I'd get a Capital One reference. And look, Roger Dodger wearing the old school PHL shirt. That lets you know you're a real one, man. I love it. Uncle Dad, it's been a while. We talked about Walker a little bit earlier, so I won't go back on that. I think a lot of people want to move on, but yeah, it's a very bizarre thing. I think it's a little bit different, but here's what we'll do. If you super chat, I'll go back to the Walker Howard thing. Only if you super chat, right? Because people do want to turn the page and look at the feet, right? We'll want more Omar, right? And how big he's going to be for us. Okay, baseball. Reese Player of the Year. That's kind of cool, right? The same year Simone Augustus gets the statue, and then there's that viral photo of Angel Reese and Simone Augustus. I don't care if you don't care about women's basketball at all. It's freaking awesome. That's crazy. It's kind of like that photo of Jason Tatum and LeBron James. It's still crazy. John, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. John and Steve, man. Top five tailgate, and it wasn't 5, 4, 3, 2. I might have been the best tailgate before one of the best games ever. I really appreciate you guys. Welcome me into your family and your crew. It was a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again next year, man. We're throwing down for what, Arkansas game? Let's do it. Why not? Go down. That catfish Acadiana you made me. Bro, the batter. My goodness. I mean, there hadn't been a great batter as that as freaking Willie Mays, man. That's how good that batter was. That was such a bad dad joke, but it really was that good. Like, I'm telling you, it was so good. It was so good. And once again, we are age inclusive on this channel. So Willie Mays was a baseball player, and he was very good when he played. They called him the Say Hey Kid. So we want to make sure everybody got that reference. Um, is he the best baseball player of all time? Or is it Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth? I guess it has to be the Babe, right? Still, so crazy Mickey Mantle cards go for the most. Doesn't make any sense to me. Heck, Angel Reese might get one. She really is like what? I don't know. I don't follow women's. I don't follow the LSU women's basketball team that close. Is she playing like at like a Joe Burrow level? Like I saw she had like a 20 point 20 rebound game. That is hard. It's so hard to do. Uh, Lou Gehrig. Hmm. Today, I consider myself finish it. Today, I consider myself I'm old enough. I was there. I was boots on the ground in Yankee Stadium for that speech. That's how old I am. Today, I consider myself. I'm not going to continue until this gets answered because I want to talk more about Van and Emory Jones's decision, or if they're going to move Emory Jones inside. Skipper, save everybody here. There you go. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. The luckiest man on the face of the earth. There you go. There you go. I got a bobblehead of him actually doing the speech. So stored away. It's my favorite bobblehead. Hank Aaron is the best. Yeah, I mean, you could make a strong case for Hammer and Hank. You can make a strong case, right? He's got to be in the top 10 though, right? He's got to be top 10. But anyway, we move on. One final baseball take, Fred McGriff not getting into the playoff. I saw, Van, I don't know if you're still watching. Van tweeted about this before, I'm pretty sure, but Fred McGriff should come out of retirement. I think Fred McGriff can come out of retirement, play a full 162 games, and get the final 7 home runs for him to get the 500, right? Fred McGriff not getting into the Hall of Fame with 493 home runs is such horse crap, right? It is bull. It is such bull. Who remembers a crime dog in those Tom Mansky videos? I mean, come on. The crime dog is serving a crime for not getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame. 7 more home runs. 7. David Justice. Tony Gwynn's up there. So, Jordan wants to talk about the Bengals. Our guy Joe Burrow has an absolutely huge playoff game this weekend. So let's talk some Bengals really quickly, and we'll get back into some Emory Jones chatter in just a second. So Jordan says Bengals money line. This kind of feels like a Joe Burrow game, right? The one thing you don't want to do against Joe Burrow is piss him off. And don't you think Joe Burrow is pissed off that the NFL, first off, this Bengals and Bills game should be a neutral site game? The logic does not add up. It is total BS that the Bengals don't have the opportunity to play a neutral site game this weekend, right? So that is crap. Now we move on. So Joe already has that going against him. Don't want to piss off Joe Burrow. Anyone knows him best. Number 2, okay, they're already selling tickets to the AFC Championship game. They're already selling tickets. Why? 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 Hmm. Now you tell me. Joe Burrow, 5-point underdog. Joe Burrow already selling. They're already counting you out. They're already counting you out. Everybody wants a Bengals Chiefs rematch. They're counting Joe out. You never count out number 9. You don't. You don't. You never count this man out. You don't. Don't do it. The NFL's doing it. They're counting out the Bengals. They're already selling tickets. Oh, wait, are they counting somebody else out? Don't count them out, folks. Don't count this guy out either. Well, I know he doesn't have like a 200-yard game. Jamar Chase has never played a bad playoff game. God dug it, man. I knew it. I knew it. I did not ignore it. I will never ignore Super Chat. You know this. But I don't like it when Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get disrespected. I'm going to back them up. Those are my guys. Joe texted me before that and said, hey, make sure if somebody Super Chats about the Bengals game to defend my honor. Joe texted me that. He actually sent me, it was Joe that sent me this Funko Pop autographed. He said, I'm going to send you this. Sign it if you defend my honor. I'm warning the Bills right now. Joe is about to light you up. You should tell them to quit selling tickets. That is a curse. Watch. It's going to be Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence. 2019 National Championship game rematched. Let's go to Van Super Chat. Does Kayshawn love to F? Now, I don't know what F means. I Whatever F stands for, hope Kayshawn loves to do it. Does Kayshawn love to frolic? Sure. Does Kayshawn love to fence? You might. Kayshawn would actually probably be a great fencer. Does Kayshawn love to fish? I know Steve is a big time fisherman. He might love to do all of it. But I think the F stands for, does Kayshawn love to football? And he does. And when he does play football, he's pretty good. Now, go to your super chat here about Fred Griff. You see, I remember that. I remember your tweet. I honestly think we weren't friends yet when you tweeted that out. And I saw it. I was like, you know what? I think about that all the time. One of my best friends, Morgan's like a big, like Atlanta Braves Fred McGriff collector. And I bring it up to him all the time. It is a crime that the crime dog is not in the Hall of Fame. Type Y for yes, type in for no if you know the Tom Amansky videos. Does anyone remember the Tom Amansky videos? Kareem, I love this. Kayla Von Chase on in the background. Joey B smoking a stove. LSU versus FSU thoughts, and LSU is ranked number 1 in the portal. Yeah, I see why LSU is ranked number 1 in the portal. But the truth is, Kareem, is they aren't the only ones that has really succeeded in the portal. I want everyone to welcome Kareem to the channel. Let him know. Y'all have never heard of the Tom Amansky videos? Thank you, James. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Throwing the baseballs in the bucket. I love it. Thank you, Daniel. I knew I had some real ones in here. I freaking love it. Ugh. And Fred McGriff would just turn around and be like, Major League superstar Fred McGriff. LSU FSU thoughts. Yeah, Kareem, we got an entire offseason to obviously break it down. But Florida State, pound for pound, is very talented. We're probably at the same level of like talent composite. You go position by position, it's very even, right? I feel like our offensive line is probably a little bit better. Obviously, their tight ends are very good. Their quarterback is very good. Their running backs are really good. I feel like our receivers are better than theirs. And then defensively, they got Lovett back. They got Verse back. Their defensive line's good. Our defensive line's good. Their linebackers are good. Our linebackers are good. Their secondary is good. Our secondary is good. I think what it's probably going to come down to, as many of you remember, it's seared in each and every one of our brains. What the Florida State game came down to is 2 things: special teams, and Brian Kelly coached the worst game, arguably, in his career. We were not prepared, ready to go. And guess what? It made sense, right? It was a Sunday night game. It was the only game going on in the country. There was a lot of pressure going into that game. And he didn't know who his best players are. And the one thing I think, Kareem, that the Florida State game showed me is coaches don't learn a whole lot from just practicing, from spring practice or anything else. You really can't learn anything until you actually see players in games. You just don't. And ask people who actually played at the college level, you really don't. Like, here's a good example of this. I know he's a fan of the channel, but this is just the truth. If LSU knew that Jeremy Hill was going to be the absolute best back on the team in 2012, there was 4 backs ahead of him on the depth chart, right? I remember I was working with Cody Worsham, who works at LSU now. They did a Dig magazine cover, and it was Alfred Blue, Spencer Ware, Michael Ford, and Kenny Hilliard. And it was the 5th running back who was the best, the 5th. And Jeremy shared the story on here for the first time. Like, they asked him, "Hey, do you want a red shirt?" But, Jay Hill said, "No, I'm betting on myself. I'm betting on myself. I know I'm good enough to play." And he was bold enough to do that 5th on the depth chart, and he balled out. You don't really know anything until the games happen. You just don't. So, I think Brian Kelly deserves a pass for how he coached in this game, and I think he's going to be very motivated to find a way to get this game, won this year. 'Cause I'm sure that game he thinks about a lot because he beat Florida State a bunch when he was at Notre Dame. So, yeah, and with all the portal talent, we should be ready to go, but, you know, Florida State got a lot of luckiness that all these guys decided to come back. Jordan Travis probably would have been a top 3 round pick. Jared Verse probably would have been a top 3 round pick. Love it. Probably would have been drafted and so on and so on. Um, they really bought into making a run this year. So there you go. No, Van, you are the GOAT. I really appreciate you, man. We're throwing down. I mean, we're gonna throw it down, man. Can't freaking wait. I don't. I don't, Doug. When I stop in Pineville early next week, we are storming the field at Louisiana College. Now, if you know where Louisiana College is in Pineville, Louisiana, when you drive over that little overpass, Louisiana College only has a one side of bleachers. That's it. Only one side of the bleachers. And for some reason, every time I pass over that thing, there's somebody practicing out there. They work hard. They work hard at Louisiana College. What are they? They're the Wampus Cats. Kind of neat. I want to get Wampus gear. The only thing, this is the only thing about the Louis, and I don't want any Wampus Cats to come after me because, well, all three of you would hurt me. But the truth here, and this is the honest truth, and it's nothing but the truth. It's coming from the center of my heart, aorta, whatever, is blue and orange is the worst color combo in all of sports. Blue and orange is vomit, right? It looks bad. Blue and orange has always looked bad. Whether it's the Florida Gators, the New York Knicks, the two most poverty franchises around, um, it looks horrible. Blue and orange just looks horrible. Whoever thought that through should go jump into an erupting volcano with lava and electric eels and Godfather 3 DVDs coming out of it. Like, it's so blue and orange is vomit. It quite literally looks like vomit, right? Blue and orange is what comes out of your mouth when you've drank nothing but Everclear for a full day. Now, I speak from experience, Mardi Gras 2013, but still, when that comes out and it's just blue and orange, it's gross. It's gross. Okay? Now, here's what I love about Marcellus. Your first comment is about Boise State. Okay. At least they go all in with it, right? Like, okay, let's just make our entire field look like vomit. And that is what they did, and I give them credit for it. I give them credit for it, right? Denver Broncos is more of a Navy. And as a Broncos collector, by John Elway card back here, Peyton Manning, it's more Navy. It looks a little better. Oh, Holden. Should I block Holden for this? Holden. We do not compliment Florida on this channel. I'll let you slide with an A&M compliment. Well, actually, I don't know if I could do that. But we do not compliment Florida on here at all, right? Percy Harvin was great. I'll give them that, but everything else sucks, right? Emmitt Smith, I hate it when people put Emmitt Smith in the sweetness and Barry Sanders conversation. He's good, but come on. And Emmett was the third best player on that team. Yeah, I just don't do the Florida thing. I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. I will say this. I will say this. Out of all the big time people um in like the SEC media circle, obviously I'm friends with Peter Burns, known him for a long time. Chris Doring is like a really cool dude. I give him that. He was a Gator. So I hope he doesn't hear this. I'd love to have him on the channel. I think he's a really good analyst too. Um, the Coast Guard is blue and orange. Chill out. Okay. It's true. Yeah, but I mean, a little different. Yeah. Oh, you want me to go to the postcard and say, "Hey, can we do the purple and gold?" I think purple and gold would be better Coast Guard colors. Roger. Really? Really, Roger? Really? 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 What do y'all think? Should Roger get the block button for this? It was Holden. It was worse. Van, do you think Roger deserves a block button? Roger's one of my closest friends on the channel. He it really is. I've gotten to know Roger. I went to Roger's job recently. I know his boss. I mean, TJ, I'm gonna let you make the call. Or I normally let Van make this call. I mean, we can't be having takes like this. Joshua says, "Give him a Roger." I tell you, Roger has been one of those generous supporters of PHL. Met some of his coworkers. Um, I'm kidding. Roger's right. Okay, Joe Burrow and Cam Newton had the best individual seasons. They did. All right, Joe Burrow, Cam Newton had the best individual seasons. Cumulative, though, Tebow's probably the best. Cumulative. Now, if you want to have a conversation here, uh, if you want to have a conversation of Vince Young, if you want to have a conversation with Reggie Bush, I'm open to having a career conversation, right? Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, yeah, Archie Griffin, won 2 Heisman's. I'm open. I'm open to that. Okay. But individual seasons, it's either Joe Burrow or Cam Newton. You can go either or, one or two right there. Objectively speaking, you can go one or two for individual seasons. But Tim Tebow was for the career. I'm just being honest. Like, I lost 10 viewers for saying that. It's okay. That's fine. You guys coming for objective analysis? Tim Tebow's probably the best, right? What, 26-2, national championship, Heisman his true sophomore season, national championship as a gadget guy. Yeah, he had Percy Harvin. Yeah, he had, pre-murder Aaron Hernandez. Yeah, he had Urban Meyer. And look, Urban might, feel some cracks every now and then. But it was messed up. He shouldn't have done that. But prime focus Urban Meyer, there's only one coach who would take over him, and that's Saban. Prime Urban Meyer is as good as it gets, honestly. Um, but he fell off the deep end, right? And he's not a good dude. I don't think I'd want him in my program now. Prime Urban Meyer is a goat, right? Only Saban of the modern era is better than Prime Urban. And maybe Kirby. Maybe Kirby's getting closer to Herb, but Herb is God, he was good, man. He was good. So yeah, a compliment in Florida. Tebow had a lot of weapons. What was the other number 9? Murphy was a good player for them. Uh, Riley Cooper, outside of the Kenny Chesney concert, was a good player. He was a good player. Okay. So yeah, he had dudes, Brandon Spikes, prime Charlie Strong coaching that defense. They were stacked. Those teams were stacked. Carlos Dunlap. They were good. They were good. So yeah, you could say, well, Florida had the best players, and that was, pre Saban, getting the Bama train moving, really. Um, but yeah, you can make a case. You make a strong case. When I was a freshman at LSU, the present Cincinnati helmet was placed in the student union for the student body to vote on switching. Have you heard that? No, I didn't know that. Why would the present Cincinnati um yeah, John, text me the full story. You got my number. I'm interested. The Cincinnati helmet to switch to to switch to I didn't know this. So I honestly didn't know this. So I really did lose 20 viewers for talking about Florida like that. So, Roger, there you go. That's what I get. That's what I get for being objective for whatever the Tebow take that is just came out of left field. Uh Caucus, what's up, man? It's been a while. Chances this isn't the time or place for us to. If you want a murder documentary expert, ask any one of your wives. I guarantee you. Doesn't it ever freak you out that women just love these murder mysteries? It's crazy. Mm, Cincinnati helmet. Hey, let me see this. When I was a freshman, what man, I I'm not gonna put that super chat. There's nothing wrong with murder mysteries, but no, Van did super chat. Kayshawn reenacted Gladys Knight's most favorite song. Come on, man, please go jump into an erupting volcano with lava and electric eels and Godfather 3 DVDs coming out. Please do that. You deserve this. The 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 Van is on one tonight. I don't know what it is. I think he's excited because I mean see him in a few weeks, but uh the pearly gates with the Kimbe Matumbo your entry after that one. No, you can't you I mean we got it. I mean I kinda have to, I don't know, I kinda have to. Oh my god. Gla For some reason, Gladys Knight is gonna have, like, 1,000,000 downloads for people to try and get the joke. It took me a while to get it. Uh, Gladys catching strays tonight. Oh, this is a live chat. We started this live chat late. Oh my god. I called a college basketball game that was epic earlier today. Go to my Instagram, you can see what it's like. Uh, we got that. It's not been confirmed nor denied, but let bygones be bygones. So, John Sibley, text me the full story on this. So, what I'm guessing you're referencing here is maybe, just maybe, LSU put up for vote that the Cincinnati Bengals helmet with like the stripes that they were going to switch to that. Really, I have never heard this. Golden Boot was good. Proud guest of the Golden Boot Pod here. Pooh Bear and I hung out not too long ago. Pretty excited about that. Yeah. Mike got the DJ, this is such a great dad joke. And you're not even a dad yet. Van, I think you need to change your name to Train for the night. That is the daddiest dad joke. I thought Jared Addison would be the one that would first make this joke. You guys are such great comedians, right? I should have had you when I was still doing stand up because I sucked. I did it 5 years, still suck at it. Uh, I needed you guys to write for me. These PHL dad jokes are coming out like fire. They are coming out. Ah, 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 yeah. I want the world to know. I don't know why that song is stuck in my head. But yeah, look, to put a bow, get it? To put a bow on this conversation. Tim, career-wise, is there. Now, Joe Burrow's still the GOAT. Single season, Joe Burrow, Cam Newton. If your answer is not either one of them, you're wrong. Now, we can get into positional stuff. If you want to talk Ndamukong Suh, you want to talk 2011 Tyrann Mathieu, we can get into different positions. Obviously, Derek Thomas having 27 sacks. Now I'm complimenting an Alabama player, but you have to admit, 27 sacks in a season, that is a real stat. Derek Thomas, 27 sacks in a college football season. How? And this was when they weren't passing all the time. Tebow was good. Y'all talk as if he was transcendent. He wasn't. Wait, Terrell Suggs had 27? Terrell Suggs is underrated. Seems like he's gonna be one of these NFL guys like a Roy Green that you just kind of forget about. They were really good for a certain period of time that you're just like, "Yeah." Like, I guarantee you half the chat doesn't know who Torrey Holt is. Like Torrey Holt, uh, finger is a beast. Absolute beast. Skipper, who was it? Who was it, Skipper? Skipper, I think Skipper's trying to Skipper, come on now. Come on, Skip. Come on, Skip. Who did you report? Are you are I think Skipper is a big Gladys Knight fan, he was defending her honor. Oh, man. And, speaking of Gladys Knight, I know something that she would be very interested in. I really do, like, I wish I could think of what the one thing she would be interested in that we talk about here on the channel. Boom! TOV gets the W tonight. TOV! TOV, it's the W. Before we get to next, Vance next chat here, let's talk about the pressing collection and pressingcollection.com. Now, you know what looked great on the legendary Gladys Knight's finger? It's as precious as a Z baby. It's this. Pressing Collection, pressingcollection.com. I'm getting married here in a few weeks. Pretty excited about that. But what really started it was the engagement ring process, which honestly, when it comes to like big money purchases, I am not the guy. I am not great with money, but Pressing Collection saved me a bunch. All I got to do is take a look at these pearls he gave out just a few weeks ago on this channel. Get a one-on-one consultation today. It's all kinds of jewelry. Your next jewelry purchase, come at me first. Pressing Collection. Now, Kayshawn's getting drafted by Amtrak. Mm. So, here's what I'll say about this. I have no idea what happened. Did I think anything happened? Something did. We'll never know unless one of them goes on the record and shares what exactly happened that forced Kayshawn to miss the bowl game. He was not available for the bowl game before his announcement. Now, will I forever love me some Kayshawn? You better believe it. I know Van's cracking a bunch of jokes, and we're cracking a bunch of jokes. Kayshawn's about to be a millionaire. What I will say, though, is, you know, I think for me moving forward, LSU's wide receiver room could be better off with Kayshawn making that next step. And I know we were really excited to have Kayshawn coming back to the team, but I think his heart was ready to make the jump to the NFL. And ultimately, I think it's better for both parties for Kayshawn to go to the next level. So understand, Vance just making jokes. We will never know what exactly happened. And as an LSU fan, I know this because I have a ton of fans from all the other SEC schools. I can handle jokes about this until because it is a very bizarre story, and everybody's made jokes. If you're an LSU fan and you have friends from other SEC schools, you've probably heard every joke. If you're on Twitter, you've heard every joke. Um, whatever the case may be, I still think Kayshawn's going to be a big time NFL player. Now, as far as like Kayshawn next year in the NFL, will he ever get his initial explosiveness back? I don't think he had it this year. And sometimes, with the rehabilitation process, Kayshawn said himself that, according to Brody Miller's story in I said the Atlantic, the Athletic, he said that, the rehabilitation process, he could have done things better. If he doesn't get that explosiveness back, he obviously won't be the same type of player. But I still think he's going to be a very, very, very good NFL player. Okay. That's funny. Chivo played with the guiltiest roster ever, and he did it as a virgin. He definitely prayed a lot. Now, man, I don't know. Like, I know whatever Tebow did personally as doesn't bother me, but I did think it was he became such a media darling for like the Christianity, and I was fine with that. Be who you are, but it got played up so much by the media. It really did. Like it was just crazy, right? Uh, I don't know how many more times I had to hear Mike's a big P Suggs fan. I don't know how many more times I had to hear that Tebow was a Christian. I'm just like, yeah, 99% of college football players are Christian. Not, I would be shocked if it's less than 99%. So, most people that watch football are probably Christian. Most people that play football, I'm telling you, God gets more things from football players than nuns. I promise you. Like, it is you won't find a draft announcement, a transfer portal announcement, anything without the word God in it. We're gonna have so much fun. Gonna turn it up. 1K worth of keep them coming. Pause. I know Skipper feels so guilty. I just shot him a text a minute ago saying, "Yeah, I think if one person like reports somebody, it doesn't block them or anything like that. I think like a ton of people do. It changes their YouTube eligibility, if you will." Yeah, honestly, like I would be very interested if you're referencing the religion thing. I would be very interested to find a profession that is as heavily religious as football players. And and yeah, it's it's crazy. Everybody, welcome Keith to the channel. This is a kind of crazy comment to start. Tebow probably was not a virgin. Well, somebody should go ask him. My son plays for a D1 program in the ACC. He was a four-star player. Women are abundant. That's interesting. So, uh, I went to an HBCU on scholarship and pledged for a fraternity. Women are abundant. Yeah, so the as far as, like, the heavily religious, what a lot of heavily religious people do as far as, still have the title of virgin is they'll still do all the other stuff outside of, well, so, that's just how it was explained to me by a bunch of religious people. Um, the saying, who is better out of Darius Geis and Cecil Collins? So, I wasn't, really watching LSU football as closely. Uh, I was very young when Cecil Collins was playing. No, keep 'em coming, Van. Who was better out of Darius Geis and Cecil Collins? Um, for me, I do think Darius Geis, however you feel about him morally, is still one of the best LSU talents ever. And it is not controversial to say that Geis was far off talent-wise than Fournette. And as far as, like, running ability and making people miss, Darius Geis broke more tackles than anybody. Now, Leonard Fournette is either running you over or running past you. So you have more raw speed. But Geis was truly special with the football in his hands. And you can make a case, like Jamar Chase is in this conversation as well. As far as players with the football in their hands, who is the deadliest? And Darius Geis is in that conversation. And the one thing about all of, what's happened that is really sad is, like, you never see, like, Darius Geis highlights anywhere. His 10 best highlights are as exciting as Leonard Fournette's 10 best highlights, and I'm playing, like, some of them in my mind. Obviously, his most famous is probably, like, him running over the Louisville kicker, but the South Carolina game, the one that was moved because South Carolina had bad weather, he had a run in that game that I still think about to this day, where he broke, like, 5 tackles and broke off, like, a 40-yard run. It was just so absurd. So, I'm gonna go with Geis. I didn't I'd have to go back and look at Cecil Collins, and really break it down. Uh, Jan says, uh so Jared says Geis was better. Mike says Cecil was a beast, another Bo Jackson. I said a little longer career. Yeah, Keith, you asked a legitimate question. I didn't wanna, like, get too grotesque, but that's what they do, is they will I don't get back into it, but you got it. It was your first anytime somebody comments for the first time, whatever the comment may be, I always wanna make them feel welcome. Uh, so yeah, that's one way that it's circumnavigated, if you will. Guys was explosive. Yeah, I know I'm more modern era LSU on this channel, but I would probably say Darius Geis. And, for being honest, like obviously Jeremy and have had this conversation, ranking the best backs, and Jay Hill thinks it's Fournette. I still think it's Fournette, but Geis is right there, man. Like, he was so good. He really, really, really was special. And yeah, I think about, like, some of Geis's best plays. He had a kickoff return versus South Carolina that was or it was actually versus A&M, that was still spellbinding. I don't know how he broke so many tackles. So, as far as, like, just, like, juice and broken tackle percentage and all that, I would guess Geis is probably up there. But if I was drafting, I would still take Booger Nation number 1. So yeah, I would agree with this. I would agree with this. I think, Fournette was more of like a natural physical specimen, and Geis was probably a little bit more of a skilled runner, right? The Arkansas run was so good in Fayetteville, the 90 gazillion yarder. I mean, he was special. He was really special. Now, would he have been a better NFL player than Fournette? We will never know. We just don't know. Like, there's so many different things about him that we just don't know about, other than, you know, there was him playing at Catholic and him not being like a lot of the kids at Catholic High, and, getting to LSU and immediately being a transcendent talent is, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget watching him for the first time. I was like, "What is this? Like, this guy is an alien." Uh, yeah, and this is where it gets a little tricky. So, I'm glad you brought this up, Pooh Bear, or D-Dub or Ant. I'm pretty sure it's Pooh. So, what's really complicated about this, and I know guys felt some type of way about this, and he's got a legitimate argument here. Okay, you can say what you want about him morally, right? You can, and it's slippery slope to talk about should his records count and all of that. We can get into a moral debate about it, but the truth is, Geis versus Texas A&M had Leonard Fournette's record, right? He was the single game. If I might be mistaken on this, but still, he had a ridiculous running game, uh, individual game. It might be a different game. Someone correct me on this. And they didn't talk about him because they kept saying, "Hey, it was when Ty Davis Price broke the record versus Florida." They kept saying it was Ty Davis Price breaking um, Leonard Fournette's record, right? So if I was Darius Geis, I would feel some type of way about that, right? You did what you did. Are you just gonna erase everything I did? It wasn't like it's tough, right? Because obviously morally, we all have you know some type of opinion on Darius Geis. No one, if everything is true, no one will agree that that stuff is fine. But it gets into the slippery slope of morality and the sport. Joseph Adai. Want to talk about Joseph Adai and Charles Scott? Funny thing is, I got so he broke it against Ole Miss and A&M. So yeah, it's crazy. Fucking crazy. Van wants to talk to Joe Adai. Love talking Joe Adai. Most underrated game from him was that Oregon State game. Obviously, just was underrated, stepping in and saving the day. But yeah, I mean, Joe Adai was a beast. Actually, gave my Joe Adai jersey away to a patron, and yeah, I freaking love me some Joe Adai. I really do. Like, he kind of gets forgotten about because obviously, when you think all-time great LSU running backs, he's probably, not like mentioned in the top 10. You talk about Billy Cannon, you talk about Leonard Fournette, but Joe Dye was a beast. And he played one of my personal favorite players of all time, Peyton Manning. So, I love me some Joe Dye. And I'm very lucky he played at LSU. And, I don't think he was a Louisiana Tiger. So when he from Texas, I don't I'm pretty sure he was. That game was transcendent. Like, it was so special. Dude was just special. Van wants to talk some Charles Scott. Charles Scott will run over your favorite LSU player. Charles Scott was just a good dude as well. When I was at KLSU, he would stop by. I think he stopped by twice, which was really cool. Like back then, they wanted you to go through all like the media channels and all of that. I didn't care. I was like, I love Chuck the Truck. And yeah, Charles Scott, man, The Georgia run with Saron Black, I'll never forget that, man. What a player. So many great running backs from that era. Dominic Davis, Ali Broussard, Kenny Hilliard, Charles Scott, all those guys. Just really, really good football players. Kamara, similar. Right. So guys had 285. Fournette had 284. And TDP had 287, right? No, TJ. Van called you out in our last live chat. Okay. TJ, don't go to bed. Don't do it. Me and Van will come find you. Okay. Oh, oh, Phil, please, please. Oh my God, it makes such perfect sense. Please tell me his name is Joe Adai Jr. so we can have a Frank Gore Jr. kind of thing going. Please, Phil, tell me his name is Joe Adai Jr. I didn't know he had a son. What is he? Is he a high school running back? I don't know. And everybody welcome Phil. I don't think comment before. Um, there you go, TJ. He's super chatted too, so you got to hang around. PHL is gang like YSL. Let's go. Single fastest player in LSU history. Okay. So I think it objectively goes to two. It's either Trenton Holiday or Xavier Carter, right? It's one of those two guys. Now, if I actually got a Benny Brazil autograph here. If you want to have a conversation about Benny Brazil, we can do that. Uh, I think it's between those two. Eddie Kennison, yeah, you could definitely uh, put him up there. Dante Jackson, yeah, I could see Dante up there. Post 2010. Post 2010 fastest would be you know who has a low key argument on this? So he's a junior, Phil. Oh, he's only 14 as a junior? That's young. That's very young. Um, you know who low key has a claim for fastest LSU player in history is Racy McMath. Like, I think he still has the fastest. Who has the fastest LSU Pro Day 40-yard dash? Devery? Devery was a blazer too. Joshua, Billy doesn't love it either. I'll tell you that. Um, I think though, like, hopefully it's Nicholas Harbor here in a few weeks, right? I'm just kidding. When he's not signing here. Um, I do think it's got to be Xavier Carter or Trenton, right? It would. I don't know. I could send a tweet to Todd Polis. He could probably dig up some stat. But I think one of those two, and Xavier Carter really didn't play at LSU. So, um, or you know who has a case, even though he never actually played football, but he did play football. What about Cyril Grayson? What is Cyril Grayson? Right, track star from Rummel. Cyril Grayson deserves some love. I think maybe Kayshawn at his absolute peak as a true freshman is is there pre-injury. That's crazy. Honestly, like, if you factor in size, Chris Hilton is definitely in there. It's a good one chance, especially if you're just talking about, like, just straight line speed. But really, if you factor in size, if you factor in, like n like a unit, Racing McMath has got to be in that, right? Like, him running, what was it, 4.34, 4.32, or whatever it was, you have got to be moving. Like, one I think about all the time, I know he's not LSU, but Teron Armstead running like 4.78, and Jordan Davis for Georgia. Jordan Davis running a sub 5 flat 40-yard dash. It's still so insane to me. Why, like, it's still so absurd to me. Like, and unless you actually just see, like, someone that size run that fast, you have got to be explosive. What's a OGD? So, yeah, I guess our top 3 here, Van, is Trendon, Xavier Carter, and, not the one that just left, but Xavier Carter. I should have been more clear about that. So, there was an Xavier Carter, and, well, ironically, we have a viewer named KMC. He has an autographed Xavier Carter jersey as his, profile photo. He obviously didn't pan out at LSU, but Xavier Carter is him, Trendon, and Dante Jackson. It's a fun conversation, right? It also depends, like, are you talking about just straight line speed? Because Chris Hilton's probably faster than Leonard Fournette straight line speed, but, you know, there's also how do you run with pads on and a football in your hand and people chasing you? It's a little bit different, right? Like, so there's this site, there's an analytics group that consults with football, um, teams, and they are called, tracking football is what they go, and so they have something called like I think it's called a PI score, PAI score, and, what's interesting is a lot of college coaches now, they will only go after, like, recruits that run like a sub 10.8. So let's say someone like Jalen Brown, right? Who's a lot like Chris Hilton. He's super duper fast. Everything else has got to be able to translate though, right? So I think for me, um, what's interesting is Jamar Chase was like a high jump champion. And what the tracking football guys do is they put together a score of how good you are in all these track and field events as like a skill guy, and it helps them put together a really good athleticism score of you. And Jamar Chase's athleticism score was like a 4.8 out of 5, which is honestly really, really, really high. So, what's very interesting is speed matters in football, but there's been a lot of studies done on this. As long as you run like sub 4.6, you're more than likely going to be good. Like, there's obviously some outliers, like Cooper Cup ran 4.62, Jarvis Landry ran 4.77. So if you're in like that 4.5, 4.6 range, that's plenty fast. It's just football is just not really like a straight line speed kind of sport, right? It's everything. It's the pads, it's the understanding of the game. All those things are true. Right, and I also think one thing that's, like, very underrated is, like, how balanced are you as a player, right? Like, I think that's very, very key when it comes to football. How much does your body shake when you run? Like, if you go run and I were to throw a pass at you just running a go route, how much does your body move? Are you moving fluidly? Like, go look at Randy Moss run a go, his body is not moving at all. It doesn't look like he's running that fast. It's because he's a freak. So, Like, that's always a good way. It helps me evaluate things. You know, one of the reasons why, like and Harold Perkins was a five-star recruit, he was a national top 10 guy. What really stood out to me when watching him in high school was he made every last movement look so effortless. The game, it felt like watching him, he was playing a different sport. And I know it's like a very subjective thing through my lens, but when I watched Emory Jones, I felt that way as well. I felt like this guy's playing a different sport than everybody else. And, that's what makes those guys special. And that's always a good way to determine how good a player is. When they catch the football, do they go down easy? When they bend the edge, are they able to actually bend the edge? Do they get blocked easy? Do they shed blocks easy? Do they get off the line easy? Does a game look like it's moving fast or slow to them? And normally, that's the thing that really gets players, right? Because athletically, there's not really a whole lot of a difference between, some guys that are like 6'2", 230, right? Like some guys, uh, you know, what really changed my viewpoint on this is like when you go to an NBA game, and if you sit low at an NBA game, you see like how fast the game moves. It goes by so, so, so fast. It was the craziest thing when I was on the sideline for my first LSU game. I was still like I just got done playing myself, and I was just amazed at how fast everything moves. And that's the scariest thing, man. Which home game will I attend? I'll bring the Cubans. I probably will go to the Arkansas game. It's early in the season. I like going to games early in the season because normally around Thanksgiving and Christmas, the season's normally decided if you're in playoff contention or you're not. I normally like going early in the season, right? The energy is still high, and I feel like, while it's not announced yet, I feel like the Arkansas game will be a night game. Arkansas will still be good by then, and LSU, of course, will still be good by then. And yeah, I kind of want to go to that game. I don't know if I make it Orlando yet. If I'm able to get enough things moving in my direction to go to that game, I'll go. But we'll see. See, same here, Van. When I run, my tits shake. Same thing, right? Everything shakes in this fluke when I'm fat. That's how I am as well. So, like, when I played, sports, I was not athletic. Like, I was the only kid on my ninth grade basketball team that couldn't touch the net, and when I played soccer, I didn't have quick hips, so I wasn't able to turn really that fast. I wasn't as athletically gifted as obviously most of the offensive linemen I faced when I played, and it sucks. It sucks when you see guys that are able to just pop right back up after a hit. When I went down, I was down. Alright, it takes me a while to get myself up. That's why, like, one of the more crazy things, um, Big Al, who's not in here right now, he tagged me in a tweet about Chad Jones. The most amazing Chad Jones play I saw at LSU. Obviously, the Mississippi State pass deflection, which is crazy, but Chad Jones, I still don't know how he did this. Like, this is still mind-blowing, and I've chatted with Chad some. We're still trying to get him on the channel. Um, but no one's ever asked him about this. I wanna know how he did this. So, who remembers Dexter McCluster, right? He was like a scat back for Ole Miss. He was a really good player, okay? He wasn't the biggest guy, but that was when, and this is what's crazy. One rule that changed the sport of football forever was the blindside block rule, okay? So, why did the blindside block rule change the sport? Well, you know, what it did was you can no longer just clean somebody's clock, right? Like a blindside block is just so freaking brutal on your body that, you don't really know how exactly you feel about a blindside block. They hurt. They hurt really, really, really bad. And Chad Jones got blindside blocked by Dexter McCluster, okay? And I mean, his clock was cleaned. And Chad Jones landed flat on his back, and he popped right back up. In one fluid motion, he got destroyed. I mean, a slobber knocker. And he hit the ground and just popped right back up. Never seen anything like it. I still have never seen anything like that. Like, when you get blindsided, the thing that sucks about getting blindsided, yes, the hit hurts, but you're not able to embrace it. When you get blindsided, your body goes limp. Like, you don't know what hit you. You honestly don't. And you go bump, bump, bump. It's crazy. Ryan Robinson, the 3-star corner out of Edna Carr. I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, you know what, Chance? I've not watched him at all. I saw that earlier tonight. That was obviously very cool. And let me know what you think about him. I know, Chance, you do a really good job of watching this stuff on your own. Or if you have watched him, let me know what you think. Probably gonna watch him whenever we get done here. Okay. Very interesting stuff. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, it didn't. Okay. Oh, I see what I gotta do. Okay. Now, there's none. There's nothing worth than when you get clocked like that. Nothing. Okay. Now, someone asked a little bit earlier about Harold Perkins. I'm gonna play this little bit of. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. Van a little bit earlier. Van's obviously been our top super chatter tonight. It's a question about Lance Hurd or Emory Jones playing right guard. This was so much fun.
So what a lot of people want to know is you started off your career actually playing defense, right? And now you're playing offense, which is honestly really freaking cool, huh?
Yeah.
And then what made you want to play offense?
Well, like you said, I started my career off at defense. Well, I've really been playing defense my whole life. It's probably my third year playing offensive tackle. But I started playing tackle to help my school out.
Right.
Started liking it, started getting recruited at tackle. So I was like, I might just stick with this and, just go with it. So it just went up from there.
Whenever you got that 5th star in recruiting, did anything change for you? Do the recruiting rankings matter to you?
No, not at all. I mean, if we being real, I didn't even know I was a 5-star.
Really?
And I just ran up on it. Somebody sent it to me. I'm like, they was like, "Oh my, you're a 5-star." I'm like, oh, okay. Well, like, I mean, that wouldn't change my game style, because I feel like I should be doing my best anyways.
Right.
But I just got more to live up to now, I guess.
Yeah. So, so you don't feel any extra pressure?
No, not really.
Not really. Yeah. So you go to these all-star games. I believe next year, okay, you should get a pass for a touchdown. What was that like catching a touchdown?
That was great. I mean, it's offensive lineman's dream.
Right.
It was awesome. But, I not only have I played defense, I played tight end, too. People
Oh, really?
know that. Yeah. So, I got a little background at it. So, I catch pretty good.
Yeah. So do you think you could play Division I tight end as well?
If I won 330, yes.
You would be 2 Rob Gronkowskis. I like that. So, you know what's interesting? Brian Kelly, in his opening press conference, was asked about you. And he shared a very interesting quote about something you said to him about starting at left tackle year 1.
There you go. Yeah, you know, a chance. It's
it's tough, right? Yeah, so if he wants to be called Lance, I think everyone should call him Lance, right? Obviously, when you have the name Lance, that's such a cool name. But he wants to be known as Lance. T Bob's jersey number. Shout out T Bob. He's kind of a dream guest for me, right? I know T Bob pretty well. At some point, we're gonna get him on BHL. At some point, but he does 1,000 different things. So, yeah, I'd love to give him a big old hug, though. I'm still just so shocked. So I know I mentioned this earlier about like the Saints. I'm very shocked they kept Pete Carmichael. For me, I really am shocked. What I find to be very interesting about that is, today the NFC South had 2 incumbent offensive coordinators who are kept around by their defensive-minded head coaches who were promoted, right? So you have Todd Bowles, you have Byron Leftwich, okay? Now, what's really interesting about the NFL and this coaching stuff is that you never know who's actually great. And what's interesting is Byron Leftwich was objectively not great this year. Kept running the ball on first down for 2 yards, which wore down Fournette and made them very predictable. They were the most predictable offense of wild card weekend. And there's data, surrounding that. They fired him. Do you know how hard it was to fire Byron Leftwich? Last year, he's the offensive coordinator, the best offense, Brady was probably the best quarterback in the NFL last year. I think he deserved the MVP. And they fired him. Okay. It wouldn't shock me if Byron got another NFL coaching job, or what about Bama hiring him as the next offensive coordinator, right? Whatever the case may be, the Saints decide to keep Pete Carmichael around. It's just a bad move. It's just such a bad move, and I don't get it. Like, I really don't. This was objectively a brutal year to be a Saints fan. I have fun. Both times I was on there. Van's on the list now. Okay. King of S Cobb. What's good? Let's go. Sorry, I'm just not getting in. Hey, we'll go all night just for you, man. Clock in, buddy. But like the Pete Carmichael thing is it's so interesting to me. Like, the guy was not good. Like, he was just not good. And I know you got a raw deal with Jameis getting hurt and Dalton and all of that. He just is good at his job. And the Buccaneers firing Leftwich, I know how hard that was, but what's crazy is Leftwich turned down the Jaguars job. And one deep cut I really liked for the LSU head coaching job was Doug Peterson. And Doug obviously is from Louisiana, but he's a pro coach, right? He is an excellent schemer, right? And the Eagles winning the Super Bowl with Nick Foles had as much to do with Doug as it did with Nick. And you're a good offensive mind when a whole play is named after you, right? The Philly special. And we ran Philly special versus Purdue. So, it's interesting. And Doug has been one of the best coaches in the league this year. Oh, Byron gets another job. Like I love me some Byron Leftwich. One of my earliest college football memories was watching Marshall carry Byron Leftwich down the field because his ankle was powder, essentially. So I hate it. I hate that things went sour, and I hope he gets another shot. But the Saints took a step back today. Now, is that a good thing? Maybe so if you want to tank and get Drake May or Caleb Williams next year, which would probably be the best thing for the Saints. I mean, the cap is just dreadful, and yeah, it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. So here's what we're gonna do. We have hit the 2-hour mark. Once again, thank the Pressy Collection. Thanks to Van and John Sibley. So here's what we're gonna do. In the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna answer as many questions as I possibly can. Okay. Now, here's the good news. If you super chat, we'll keep this thing going. Okay. I don't mind. Like I told you before, we start late. I'm not going until 2 in the morning tonight. I really don't. That's good. They're tanking for Nuss. I love it. That would be pretty freaking fun. Not gonna lie. I think 80% of you said Emory Jones should move to guard. Very interesting. Let's see here. I don't miss any Venmos. There you go. I just got one from Jared. I love it. Huh? Carmani McLean to Colorado. Very interesting. All right, Jared, you get to pick the next topic. Go right on ahead. Here I am, baby. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. I wonder what it was like. Like I wonder what it was like when Stevie Wonder was in the studio making that song, or when Earth, Wind, and Fire made September. I wonder what it was like to be in the studio when you were hearing that for the first time. Like, I bet you it had to have been like so angelic. But, you know, I wonder what those guys feel like knowing now what those songs have done. Those songs will get played until the end of time. I mean, it could be the year 3046, and those songs will still truly last the test of time. Like, movies feel like they date. Like if you're watching like Casablanca, you got to really get into the plot or whatever. It feels like those get dated, but those songs, man, like they just don't make music like that. Like it doesn't. They cannot recreate that sound, and it's sound as good as what those guys produce. It is still truly insane. Gladys Knight. Will things ever sound like that again? I don't know. What will the receivers look like outside of BTJ in the league? That's a very good question. You know, it just depends on how you feel about like Aaron Anderson. Like for me, like Kyron Lacy is a fine player. He would be like a serviceable starter in the SEC. But if you were to ask me right now, is Kyron Lacy closer to Jarvis Landry or closer to Kadron Boone? He is closer to Kadron Boone, right? I don't think, you know, him turning into like a really, really, really special talent is in the cards for him. But you know, Kadron Boone was a very good player. So you know, it's tough. So it depends if you think a guy like Aaron Anderson or Sheldon Sampson has that within the realm of their potential and their possibilities. Do you think that they have the ceiling to be better than Kyron Lacy? I think that they do. And yeah, it's very, very interesting. So yeah, just follow up on that. Like it's just it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. Because you know, with Aaron Anderson, most of his success has been, you know, special teams, right? James Wright, I like that. Music is garbage for the last 10 years. I agree. Like, I mean, as I've aged, I just don't listen to music as much as I used to because there's just so many good podcasts. Like, you know, if I'm not doing what I'm doing, and obviously this takes up a lot of my time, I'm either listening to like, obviously I listen to a lot of Cowherd. I'm listening to other sports things, sports card stuff. Obviously, you know, I support Blake when I can. Um, but yeah, you know, I listen. I'll listen to Golden Boot. You know, I'll tune in when I that kind of stuff instead of like listening to music. Haley is just music. Like, she just loves music. But yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't think there's any like recent artist that really like speaks to me. Like I don't know. It's weird. Um, Honestly, you know the artist I listen to probably the most is probably T-Pain. I'm serious. T-Pain. I love me some T-Pain. Met T-Pain when I was at Sirius XM. But yeah. Yeah, I agree with this, Roger. A big like it's part of the reason why I like Garth. Right? Garth is a big band. Uh Pretzel with the girls basketball team was good. I'm gonna check it out. That's good. I'm glad. Mulkey, Angel Reese. Angel Reese is on a Burrow tear. We deep cut, man. AO's playing guitar. It's a good thing. It's a good way to express yourself. Oh, interesting. SZA? Yeah, Chance, I wish I knew that. I should know that. Like, I don't know, like, the deadlines and all that stuff. I think today, honestly, was the deadline. And, like, the day to enter the NFL draft was earlier this week. So, yeah. So, Joshua, you're a patron, right, Joshua? I'm about to sign off right now. But if you're a patron, just shoot me a message. And on Discord, I'm about to go in the Discord and chat for a little bit. If not, $9.99 a month, I'll send you some cards. Joshua, I'll send you some cards if you join the Patreon right now, and I will answer all your sports card questions. So yeah, I'll send you some stuff. Man. Well, yeah, I'll send your kids some cards. I'll send you some stuff if you join the Patreon tonight. But yeah, it gets complicated. Like as far as like the ripping, because the business model has changed quite a bit. So I have a few tips I can give you on what you want to do, and yeah, man, there you go. My youngest does ceramics. I'm gonna, there you go. I like that. Yeah, you know what's funny? So when I took ceramics, I see. Okay. Join the Patreon. I promise you. Cause I do like some sports card consulting. Like if someone wants my opinion on it, like I normally don't charge them anything or whatever. If it's like a friend or whatever, but I have a whole football card podcast. So, join the Patreon tonight. I'm going to send you and your kids some cards, some rookie cards, to help build your collection. That's always a good thing to build, off of something. And yeah, let me see. What am I going to send Joshua when he joins the Patreon in a second? Let's see. I got these. Look at this. I'll send you this, Joshua, right here. Tyrann Mathieu rookie card. Ooh. Oh, it's a case. I was about to say. So yeah, Joshua, I'll send you this right here. Okay. I got a few. Now, piano and fiddle are the Clyde Bertolaire and Kayvon Chase sound of music. I like that. Now, what you're going to do. I'm going to go in the Discord. Yes, there you go, Joshua. There you go. You're in, man. And you also get all my extra film studies and SPEIGHTS stuff. Once again, tonight's live stream is dedicated to OMAR, linebacker stud coming in from Oregon State. Go Beavers. Jonathan Smith, good coach. Or Brandon Smith. And really excited about that. So, shoot me a message, Joshua. We'll get you all taken care of. And we'll talk to you soon. Our top super chatter tonight, by far, is the jokester himself, Van Lathan. Thanks again to John Sibley, Jared, and all our normal super chatters, Max K. Thank you guys so much for helping make this dream come true of mine. Talking about LSU football every single day. That much funner. Okay? Van with the award. I like it. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight, we are doing some spaghetti. Let's go.